nothing stops the peace.
Well, thank you so much for staying with us. It's time to review trading activities at the Exchange Limited, an equities trader with Rostrum Investment and Securities Limited. Mr. Dele Sanusi joins me for this part of the show. Mr. Sanusi, good afternoon and thank you so much for joining the program this afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tolulokpe.
Yes, well, the market is staying in red this Monday. Can you take us through the fundamentals surrounding these figures for today? What are the major players at the exchange today?
Looking at the market today, and it's so unfortunate that we are starting at the negative territory. But by the time we look at the figure, it's not so large. So I mean, the way it went down. So what is really happening is profit taking, and you should know that the fourth quarter result is on the way.
Go ahead. Fourth quarter results on the way. What sectors do you think are at the moment really driving trade? You know, I saw so much of activities in the insurance space last week. Mr. Sanusi, are you there? All right, then I think we lost connection with Mr. Sanusi. We'll try to see if we can connect back before we wrap up the show. But let's quickly take you outside our shores. Stocks slid broadly in Asia today while the dollar hit a 14-month peak in the wake of an strong payrolls report that pushed up bonds yields and tested lofty equities valuations just as the earnings season gets underway. Now, S&P 500 futures fell 0.4%, Nasdaq futures 0.5%, adding to Friday's pullback. Eurostock 50 futures and FTSE futures is 0.2%. DAX futures were almost flat. Holiday in Japan made for a thin early trading today, and MSCI's broadest index of Asian Pacific shares outside Japan edged down 0.4%. While the Nikkei was short, futures traded down. South Korea stocks is 0.1%, while the political situation is still in flux. Chinese blue chips were up 0.2% as data showed exports rose a surprisingly steep 10.7% and imports added 1%. The African Development Bank Group, that's AFDB, is set to host the Mission 300 African Energy Summit in collaboration with the World Bank Group, the African Union and the Tanzanian government. The bank said in a statement posted on its website that the summit, scheduled for January 27th and 28th in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, will bring together key stakeholders to address Africa's electricity challenges. Now, the event would convene African head of states, government officials, private sector leaders, development partners, civil society organizations, and academics to advance the continent's electrification agenda. AFDB notes that the central to the discussions would be the ambitious Mission 300 plan, a joint initiative with the World Bank launched in April 2024 to connect 300 million people in sub-Saharan Africa to electricity by 2030. China and the United Kingdom have agreed to further expand economic and financial cooperation. The two sides held the 11th China-UK Economic and Financial Dialogue, co-chaired by the Chinese Vice Premier He Lifeng and British Chancellor of the Australia Rachel Reeves, serving as a lead persons of the dialogue. The Chinese Vice Premier said China is willing to work with the UK to implement the important consensus reached by the leaders of the two countries. Rachel Reeves, on her part, said the UK is willing to strengthen practical cooperation with China in the fields of economy and finance while developing mutually respectful relationship between them.
Growing the economy and raising living standards is the UK government's #1 mission. That growth must be secure and resilient. Pragmatic cooperation with our international partners is one such avenue to achieve that economic growth. That includes trade with China, the world's second largest economy and Britain's fourth largest trading partner. The outcomes we've agreed today represent pragmatic cooperation in action. They represent common ground being found on areas like financial services, trade, investment and the climate. The total value of what we have agreed today is worth £600 million over the next 5 years for the UK economy. At the same time, we discussed that there will need to be areas where we disagree, and it is important that we can have open and frank exchange on these issues.
Crude oil prices extended gain for a third session today, with Brent rising over $81 a barrel to its highest in more than 4 months, as wider U.S. sanctions are expected to affect Russian crude exports to top buyers China and India. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude sells for $78.44, with an upward review of 2.44%. Brent experienced an uptick of 2.22% to sell for $81.53 per barrel. Bonny Light sells for $78.62 per barrel, with a decline of 2.84%. For the OPEC basket, dealers offer $76.93 with an upsurge of 1.13%. Well, that's our show today. Thank you so much for being a part of it. See you tomorrow, same time. Get busy, get the cash. I'll see you tomorrow.